Okay, then I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Roll call, Ms. Margaret.
Jody Eubank,
Here.
Nikki Law,
Here.
Cora Smith, here. Sarah Eschelbrenner, here. Matt Ruggiero,
Here.
Joe Brown,
Here.
Amy Gillard, Rachel Morford, and Rocky Baby all by her absence.
Then I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Any public comment on anything that's not on the agenda, which would leave that wide open?
Basically anything on the side.
I'd like to thank everybody who spent their time planting. I know I had to run. That was a busy day. Thank you all. I think that was everyone in this room. I know. Sorry. Anything else for public comments? So, unfortunately, very unfortunately, I received Margot's resignation letter on the 25th. So, gosh, 6 days ago. And Margot and I have talked, and it's nothing to do with the job. It's nothing to do with how Nikki treats her. It has to completely. It's just it's the new and it's something new and a change for her. And we're very grateful for your almost 4 years of service. And before we leave, we have to plan a date for a goodbye party. Not that we want to kick you out that quick. So we have the job description, and Margot, Victor, and I sat down from the old one, as well as documentation that Margot had regarding potentially new duties and responsibilities that she does. And has anybody had a chance to read this yet?
I
You all
couldn't
have-
get it to come up my computer right.
Oh, you could.
The overlay wasn't working in Word, so.
Well, this can be a fluid document, can't it? I mean, if we decide to, but I think the last part that says, and any other duties Victor demands on the, might help. Anybody have any questions about the pay or the hours or any discussion on this?
Is the stuff in red, is that then
That's for us to
discuss?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. Sorry, thank you. The positions office located in City Hall. I think part of our discussion the other day was we can't really open this up right away to say that this could be a work from home type job. That would be something that could come later on down the line once we're sure that the person that we indeed hires
Actually doing a job.
when they're not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Margot, do you think it's the average hours? Do you think that's a fair representation of how many hours you work?
I think it's an average. I think some weeks more, it's gonna be full-time and some weeks it's not. And that person has to be flexible to know that if we're doing an event, then they're gonna be working full-time or more than that. And then other times gonna be taking that. But the reason we came up with that 25 hours was I didn't feel that it was in the budget to do a full-time position and benefits at this point.
I mean, I'm sure everyone in this room hires people, you know, so we
Yeah.
all. We all know that if we were looking at a full-time position, that it would be tough to get somebody to even notice us at even 60,000 a year. plus
Well, and it
benefits.
also depends on, an applicant too.
Yeah.
Some things we might want to fulfill earlier and work together on, and then it might, migrate into more of a job as someone gets more experience, especially if someone comes with no experience, but they really want to do it and really want to help. And then we can
Exactly.
kind of, depends on how much work we have to put into it as well.
On a funny side note, Nikki and I were talking about like Kathy Breitner, like in short term. So she did message me from Spain. Did you tell her, or did you post something on Facebook or?
No, it's,
Oh.
I mean, it was, I think the word
The
is traveled.
meeting, when the meeting was.
Hi.
Morning, sorry.
Just maybe the duties of the,
What did Kathy say?
Kathy said, haha, and, but that brings up a good point, or, I mean, I think what Nikki and I were talking about is that she could probably, I mean, some of the things, so she's varied in knowing all about this, that she knows it a little bit like the back of her hand, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna find somebody that's been as involved
Yeah.
as she's been for as many years as she has been. And that's gonna be tough. Now, the good news is that, and I don't mean to sound like this, you're not extremely busy in July and August because there's not a lot
The
going on.
businesses are focused on their business, so that's part of the timing. But we don't have a board meeting, so that should give some space for the time I leave, and then August.
And I think that if we do have candidates, when we do have candidates, that we will at that point need to look potentially at something other than the August board meeting for maybe another special meeting. I think then two, at this point, it would behoove us to make a interviewing and hiring committee. Can that be personnel? Can that be a quorum of, no, it cannot be a
No,
quorum.
so what we did last time we hired this position was, I think it was 3 DDA members who were in on the interviews. And then they made a recommendation to the full board, and then that candidate came to the full board. The candidate decided, so yeah, but it cannot be a quorum.
So it would appear to me that Victor would probably be one of them, depending upon baby.
Oh.
Whenever he has a baby.
You today, so.
Today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I was thinking, and not to step on, but that the due date, we would put a job opening June 30th. That gives us, a good month to find candidates to spend July, since we don't have the board meeting in July, interviewing candidates and then find a candidate, and then we become at a special meeting to make a recommendation. I think that'll work out. We just don't know how many applicants we're gonna get in a $25 jobs.
So it would probably behoove us again to have Victor on the personnel committee. And, Mayor, are you?
Sure.
I mean. And then we can have 2 more and we can kind of drop and come and go and at least have 3 people meet with, so. Anyone else want to? Be on that?
I mean, I
I'm
would,
not gonna sign up for the summer. for anything
I mean, I
else
would
right
love
now.
to, but I can't commit in July. I couldn't be available as fluidly as I think somebody would need
I
to
will.
be.
Okay,
We're all crazy, but I'm probably, as I look at all you read. Yeah. I hate it.
Sarah, is it tough for you?
It totally depends on the day. I
So
mean, I
can work.
Angie and I could,
Yeah.
maybe between the 2 of us, we could
So can
share it kind
we,
of.
can we legally have X amount of people on it, but only have X amount of people that come to the interviews so that we could,
Any kind of committee needs, cannot have a quorum.
Yeah.
So otherwise it's be a public meeting. So I would just say, I would recommend choosing 3 of you and making it simple. 3 of you that can definitely commit to doing it. And
I'll commit and Sarah can be the alternate.
So you got
Yeah,
Matt,
so-
Jody, and Amy.
Oh, you too? Yeah.
yes.
How about that?
You know, like if somebody.
Matt, Jody, Amy, and Sarah.
We're only counting to 3 here, guys.
One of us came
No,
in.
there's 4.
No.
No, there's
No,
3.
and Jody and Amy and
But
then
I'm not-
Sarah's at Baker.
Oh, yes,
He doesn't.
yes, thank you. Okay, thank you.
You don't count. In a good way.
In a good way.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, do we want to go through this? Step by step? So the questions I think that we had were the salary range. And again, as Margot and Victor, Margot and I talked for about 2.5 hours the other day about, really how much she really works and what are the other, besides Ice Fest, what other around weeks do you say, are really, I mean,
Well, it depends on the project. Like, I think once we get going with the Merchants Walkway, that's gonna take, a fair amount of time and focus on that. This past year, I was focused completely on the TIP and funding. And so I think it's a very fluid, depending on what the projects are and what, where the DDA's focus is.
we are good as far as the plan, the DDA plan through,
2038.
oh, okay, yeah.
The
And-
special assessment and the TIP.
And thank you for your work on that, as well as, I don't know if you guys saw the book, but Victor showed me the book that she did put together as far as like for the county. And it's literally this much information that she spent putting the time together. We do decide to proceed that way. Go ahead, Nikki, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I met with, I got a chance to see Rachel this weekend and we were kind of chatting about this, and one thing maybe we can look at, she said why it worked so well for her was because she also was working, with the loft situation. So she was able to contract this out, while she still had a main focus and was able to do it on her availability time. So that's something that maybe we can, when you start thinking about people, finding somebody that this isn't necessarily their full obligation, very much the same way that Rachel did it when, it restarted. So possibly something to look at as well.
I would recommend that the position stay as a city staff person, because there's so much now
Well, meaning when,
Yeah.
yes, I agree with that, but meaning that she was able to make it more of a fluid position, because like Victor said, I think it's gonna be really, really difficult to find a
Someone else who has a
candidate.
job that ebbs and flows. maybe.
Yeah, to find a candidate at 25 hours a week. I just,
Margot.
I think that that's gonna be asking for them to be able to have some background knowledge with the qualification aspects that we're asking for too. I think it might be difficult.
One other thing that I've just found helpful that maybe you can do, Margot, is kind of do a calendar of the year of what you're focusing on each month, because that's really helpful to understand, to see that and how someone can look at it and go, oh, yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, like knowing when do you start doing certain things for Ice Fest? 'Cause obviously, when it happens, but where do you start?
Right. Well, and just, yeah, what are the ebbs and flows of things? Are there things to do every year? Are there,
Budgetary.
Yeah, budgetary. That's been helpful for, I've been just hired 3 new people, so those calendars are good.
So as far as the salary range, this was really Margot's recommendation as far as where she started and where she's at right now. How does everybody feel about that per hour?
I mean, I think it's fine. I think it will 100% depend on the candidate and their experience, and it's just kind of how it.
But also bearing in mind what we can reasonably.
Well,
afford.
exactly,
Yeah.
100%.
Mhm. And 25 hours a week. I think originally part-time to you meant 20 hours a week, and then
we increased it.
and then we increased it as a board,
Mhm.
thinking, let's give her a raise. Here, you can work 5 more hours a week.
I think we advertised it originally, it's 15 to 20 hours per week.
Okay.
When we did it back in 2019, yeah, and that proved to not be the case. We advertised about $25, $25 to $30 an hour for the wage.
And then under supervision received that the position is located here at City Hall. And for now, we'd like to leave the description as in you do report here to City Hall, but there can be meetings outside of here. We didn't really want to add into the description that this would be something that a job where you could work from home. Everybody cool with that?
Mhm.
So we make a motion at the end about all of these? Okay,
So one other thing, Jody, was,
Yes.
the weekly office hours, whether you should require and encourage that, that's something we talked
oh,
about.
thank you.
Yeah, whether or not it can be helpful for the DDA director to have.
Weekly
office
hours. One of the things we discussed, and it just kind of came to us as we were talking, was should we require office hours where people can come and see the DDA director, whether it's 2 hours a week, Thursdays from 9 to 11 or something like that, that would work in with what their schedule is, so that at least to the public,
I
we're
mean,
saying,
I don't know if I feel like it's maybe maybe we could put encourage, not necessarily required, because I mean, I feel like people can reach out. Everyone's email address, everyone's phone number is available, and people could schedule appointments, and I mean, you could still be required to hold appointments if people need to see you, but I don't think that.
Maybe that's a better verbiage for
Yeah,
that,
like-
required to hold appointment times if requested by the public. Instead of,
I was just thinking, we were just thinking that it would be, if we picked a time that worked with the candidate review director's schedule. If they always open themselves up to that would be something that we could publish. So that they always know that they're here in the building,
I don't
and
know.
they're free to talk to people. But
I mean, I also could see that as someone coming in and giving someone a piece of their mind for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I just look at it as,
Margot, did you find that every week you were always here for something?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I was always here, and then,
Just because you're.
but then I was also downtown, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, I mean, as far as the interaction with people, I mean, at least with the businesses, less with the residents and things.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
But-
you were one of the first people who came in when I was opening my business to introduce yourself and tell me who you were and what you did.
I think
And I think that's really important as well.
I think one of the reasons also we were considering whether it should be required and encouraged for weekly office hours was because we're trying to, at least when this employee starts out, to structure them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Margot is, sometimes it's downtown, like we trust her, right? We don't, I'm not saying we wouldn't trust a new employee, but you want to make sure you give them some structure. So I think, I kind of lean toward it, you don't want to require office hours, but encouraging something or encouraging time with the public or something like that. That's-
Yeah.
And that could grow too, you don't want to throw them into like brand new and have somebody come in, but
exactly.
Oh, yeah, I see.
like your first day have like.
A bunch of people coming
But
in. asking
encourage,
questions.
but you don't know the answers to, a little bit more comfortable, then they could open it up.
So we'll take out required and put encouraged, and then as a board, we can find out whether or not it would be necessary, or do we want to throw them under the bus?
Yeah.
Thanks, Victor. A lot of this, we just changed some verbiage. A lot of it is from the original job description. We took out a few things. Physical demands, one of the things that we discussed. Valid driver's license to travel to other locations.
Love of gardening.
Public gardening a must.
Freezing to death.
I think something to
Yeah.
consider also as far as driving. I know Margot started right around when COVID started, so there wasn't as much driving conference and stuff, but vehicle mileage reimbursement, I don't know if you've ever asked for mileage reimbursement, but it's something to consider, because if they're being using their personal vehicles, just.
Yep, that was when we
100%.
said that too.
Yeah.
About that as well.
And do you do that here at the city?
Yeah, we'll do it here at the city, and we do it for other employees, yeah.
Do you do that do you require like a Google Maps kind of?
We didn't know where they're staying at, so we need confirmation that they're staying or going to a conference, then that's what we usually use for reimbursement.
Would you mind putting that in, Margo?
Like a receipt at a hotel or a ticket.
Got it. Anybody have anything to add or delete from the job description? Anybody want to make a motion to accept as changed with encouraged for the office hours, mileage reimbursement? Make a motion for that.
I'll get rid of that old logo in the background.
Oh,
One second.
anyone opposed? Job description. Any more public comment on what we just discussed?
Oh, I have just about, I was starting making a list yesterday of just like odds and ends of. Like what we were talking about a calendar, but odds and ends of like who to talk to. If we need something, who like, you know, Ice Fest, all the responsibilities that are included, just, this is like mostly for us. Let's say we don't find someone. And all of this is gonna fall on us. We don't want to be calling Margot every other day and being like, hey, how do we do this? Who do we find this? Who do we call for this? I mean, no one wants to do that. In any.
Well, the next thing is with the Ice Fest, Jody and I mean, we were part of it from the very beginning, so
Yeah.
we have all the contacts and
Okay.
the original stuff, so that would be. I mean, if we don't find somebody, that would be something with some.
Yeah,
board
and it
help
was just
that we
kind of
could
like a
absolutely
partnering with like,
still
with the
go
calendar
forward
of
with.
like anything else that we don't think of that like, you're like,
There's a
oh.
lot, there's a lot.
Yeah, this is,
With the-
you're, you
yeah,
know, when we have
and-
meetings, and you're like, this got done, I talked to this person, this was done. And you know, some of that stuff that we skip over and we're like, okay, you know, thanks, and then we're like, wait, what was that?
Yeah, 100%.
So just like anything like that, I don't know if we wanna have some sort of. If Victor wants to have access to some sort of a Google Drive with like all of that information and spreadsheets
He
and,
has access
Okay.
to the whole.
That's what I was just thinking too.
awesome. Just, you know, all the quotes we've been going over, the surveys, all that stuff, so.
I
That was-
think in the time being for the transition, and hopefully we find someone, but if we don't find someone soon, I would say. Funnel your questions to Jody, so I have one person to communicate with, or to the chair, Jody's the chair, so funnel it to Jody, and then. On a weekly or some kind of basis, you can get in touch with me, like, hey, you know, we have these things we need to look into, and then. We can spend time, but we get to another staff, trying to address things. Again, I don't suspect.
I'll only
a lot.
be a bum.
That was your.
Don't say that.
Don't say it.
Say that, okay, I'll be an email away.
But I think that's the path we should go down first, you know, like, that way it's, you know, coordinate with Jody, Jody coordinates with us, and then if we can't figure it out as staff, then we'll get that from our.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
So
The solution.
at our next board meeting, then, we'll just be a day away from Margot's last day. What do we? Next board meeting will be Merchants Walkway.
And it's gonna be the public information meeting.
Okay.
Just a brief overview of what we've accomplished and what, you know, what we're working on.
So as far as events, as far as the only Ice Fest is it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
right, yeah,
And
not
usually-
unless.
We usually
wanna
start
create
that,
something.
well, we usually start talking about that in August.
Right,
The only other thing, Halloween, like we did, trick or treating would be that other.
so, and then we should discuss the timelines of people's time on the board.
That's because we have three people, three board members going off in December.
Okay.
Which is,
Amy Gillard, Rocky Baydoun, and Rachel Morford. Yeah, and I know at least that they've heard.
yeah,
that
Amy, do you
not
have
everybody's
plans
coming
to-
back for sure.
I have plans to not take a second term. I will commit to being involved on the promotions committee.
Oh,
If that's
okay.
still possible. Happy to be involved with that, but I have I'm on some other boards now and it just is. Yeah, so, but still happy to do promotions.
And I know that Rachel has let me know that she will not plan on coming another term either.
Okay. And Rocky,
I've not heard.
I can assume that after this, you gotta go. I can assume that after this meeting, I mean, how many has he missed?
I know.
Thanks, David. So we have three coming up at the end of this year. So when do we normally post something about?
So what I normally do with boards and commissions around September, I contact those that are, their terms are expiring, and I ask them, would you like to be reappointed or not? And if they want to be reconsidered, I let them know that we open it to the public as well, but their hat will still be in the ring. So then around late September, early October, we post the newspaper on the website, social media, that we're looking for candidates for the position. So then council makes their decision the third Monday or the third meeting in December. And then those new appointments start in January.
So if anybody can, if anybody thinks about somebody for either this position or the DDA, encourage them to reach out and apply.
I'd also recommend, because we only have a few places that we post our job, there's only so many places that people look for job postings. Currently, some of the businesses, so maybe you have something at their location downtown. There's people seeing that there's a DDA director position.
Bonnie?
Make sure we have it. We can,
Yeah.
we have job postings we put out there, and we can also, put it as we put it out with our city information.
Okay.
Right, at
Yeah,
the very
and I
bottom of our newsletter.
We're happy to share, I shared this
Yeah.
meeting on on my business Facebook, and we'll be happy to share it.
So I'll get that job posting ready this week, and we'll post it.
So as far as the Ice Fest goes, so a quorum is 9, so we can have 4 people on a committee. So it has been Nikki and I, and Amy was on the Ice Fest committee. I know.
And then we've had like outside people like John Leo and Kathy.
Right, right. Are either of you interested in helping? And you're already in downtown enhancement?
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Probably a
Ice
good
Fest is
place
kind
to
of
keep
its own
you.
Separate. And Ice Fest, we kind of keep the promotions and the Ice Fest, but it's, or downtown enhancement, but Ice Fest kind of is its own committee as well.
So as we move toward Argo not being with us and having a new person, something I was thinking about the other day was not necessarily an ad hoc committee, but a subcommittee that would be an executive committee over this board. Because Amy's not gonna re-up. And is this something that we could do, Victor, as far as a,
You can create any kind of committee as long as there's not a quorum there. Anything it decides must come to the board though.
Are you thinking of an executive committee comprised of board members or more of like, or an advisory committee, which will have outside members?
about members from the board that are on the executive committee that may discuss things that may or may not come to the full board?
I think that's what you just said, it has to happen. It would have to come before the full board if we make any decision.
No, if we make a decision to have that committee.
No, I think if the committee makes a decision to do anything, it has to come to the full board.
Right, to move forward.
My intention to make recommendations.
Yes.
Yeah, that's to make recommendations.
So what you're saying, Jody, that executive board committee may talk about things that they may never make a recommendation about.
Absolutely.
The DDA board doesn't have to. waste time talking about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Typical committees usually have, I know we're structured like that, typical boards usually have the chair, vice chair, and then a secretary or whatnot, treasurer. And I know, Margo, you're the secretary, so it's usually 3 members on the executive committee. As long, if there's a, if you feel there's a legitimate purpose for it, then the need for it.
Well, I do only in the sense that if we, I've worked with these guys for a long time, well, and really not Sarah that long or Cora, but I've worked with Amy for a long time. So it was obvious that when something like this happens, that I'm gonna reach out and ask their opinion about things before we proceed forward. And then if we really have a committee, then I'm not just picking my favorites and picking out of school. I mean, I'm just saying that if it's in.
Well, and our executive committee too is the one that helps look at and plan what the agenda is going to be with the meeting in conjunction with the director. So that there is purpose in having an executive committee.
And I think
times. So.
we're gonna need one with a new executive director unless, Unless.
And I think that the committee should work with the new executive director, should be a person on that committee, but also could maybe take on some of the responsibilities of the director if we do not have one. Is that,
So
like
Nikki,
some of the outside,
Yeah.
like making the
Yes.
agendas, like we were just saying, those kinds of things.
That's also what happens.
Yeah.
so Nikki did already say that she would sit on the executive committee, so I would, I know it's typically 3, but I guess then I would ask if, Cora and Sarah are interested in sitting on the executive committee.
Is that, oh, I didn't know if it's one or the other here. or-
No, no, no,
Oh,
I
okay.
think we can do both, because it's
Okay.
4, it's only 4,
Okay,
people, it's not a
yep.
quorum,
That would be fine.
so,
Including yourself.
including myself. And then, so we bring that to the full board at the next meeting to add that committee, or is that just something
Yeah, we
that,
can.
do we need to make a motion at the next meeting to add that committee?
Yeah, sure, we need to,
Yes.
we need to have a majority of the full board to approve that.
Well, actually, we have that right now, don't we?
What the bylaws say
Uh,
about
no,
standing committees.
I think
There's
our bylaws-
always in a regular.
I think
Okay.
about the full board, so to do that 5, but that was what you had wrote down.
I would
I agree.
put it as. Think about it, and I would.
Yeah.
Meeting.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. Any other public comment from our guests in the gallery? Margot, can you tell us where you're going at?
Yes, I can. I'm just going down the road. I'm going to Holy Childhood. I'm gonna become the ministry coordinator, basically doing a lot of what I'm doing now, but for the parish of Catholic communities in Barbara Coach.
Whose job are you taking?
They created a job for me.
Well,
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations. Full time?
About what I am now. 3 quarters, yeah.
Anyone have anything else before we make a motion to adjourn?
I
Oh,
only
yes.
have two cents. I think you will find people interested in part-time. I think that there are a lot of people out here who want jobs and careers, but don't want the big, huge commitment. So I mean, I think tread lightly on that. That would just be my advice. I think you'll find people.
I think,
so.
I think we're open, I think we're open to all of it. Right now. We good?
Yeah.
Anyone good? Motion? Anyone? Anyone? Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Should we get a
Oh,
second? Did we
I'm
get
sorry.
a second on there?
Yeah, Sarah.
Sarah was the second. Margot. Going away. Going away party.
Good.
You're adjourned.